I feel like we're in a renaissance of white mediocrity in the music industry right now. And I just want to say that I'm not naming names, but if you see a white pop female artist and you ask yourself, if this person was black, would they be in the position that they're in right now? And the answer is no. It's not one, it's many. It's many. They're being produced somewhere in a factory. They're able to be mediocre. They're able to not be able to sing, not be able to dance. The choreo is weak. The vocals aren't there. All this. But, oh, people love the vibe. It's the vibe. Would people still love the vibe if they were black girls? Why aren't black girls be getting the same amount of success with the little talent that these girls have? We know the answer.
So when black people say we have to work twice as hard to get half the opportunities that are afforded to white people, and that dynamic has resulted in an epidemic of white mediocrity where they don't feel like they have to try because they never have. That clicks for everybody. Everybody gets it. And then we're going to turn around and question why men aren't pursuing higher education at the same rates as women. Are we... As if still in 2025, women are making an average of 87 cents to the man's dollar. Are we slow? Are we dumb?
Okay, since no one's going to say it, I'm going to say it. Let's just call it what it is. This Trump administration isn't some showcase of brilliance or strategy or moral authority. It is a showcase of white mediocrity, broadcast for the entire world to see. If you think about it, they scream about being the greatest. They scream about being the smartest, the most patriotic. But when the spotlight hits them, what do we see? Corruption, incompetence, lies stacked on top of lies. A government so insecure it has to redraw maps, it has to silence voters, it has to attack its own citizens just to hold on to power. And the world is watching. Countries overseas are looking at America, shaking their heads saying, this is America? This is what we were told was the standard for democracy? Because for centuries, whiteness carried itself alongside synonymous with excellence, while dismissing black and brown excellence as inferior. But Trump's administration has blown that myth to pieces because globally, people see it now. Whiteness in power doesn't guarantee wisdom. It doesn't guarantee justice. It doesn't even guarantee competence. All it guarantees is access. Access, handed down through a rigged system that protects mediocrity as long as it wears the right skin. So let's be clear. This ain't about every white person, but it is about the fact that Trump has exposed the truth that the old story of white superiority was never superiority at all. It was all smoke and mirrors. And now the smoke has cleared. So what comes next, right? If America wants respect on the world stage again, it won't come through Trump. It won't come through clinging to whiteness. It will come through honesty, justice, and multiracial democracy that values talent, not skin. Because the global stage just learned what we've always known. When you strip away the privilege, white mediocrity can't hold a candle to black excellence.
And white mediocrity is effectively a concept studied comprehensively by sociologists, where they've noticed a pattern in which people who happen to be racialized as white in any given society can go far enough without actually being some of the most qualified or some of the most intelligent or some of the most educated people in a given room. So I think what they've studied and what they've observed in their studies is that for most white people or people who are racialized as white, in the vast majority of cases, their whiteness is enough to bring them to the table. Conversely, when we're dealing with people of color in general, like your blackness or being a brown person is not enough to get you to the table. Often you have to be the exception, the anomaly, the 1 in a million, right? Having to be significantly qualified to be able to get into the same positions as average white people. And effectively, that's the whole concept of white mediocrity. It recognizes a pattern, obviously as a result of a long history of white privilege and systemic inequalities, but white people do not have to put in as much work to be able to get into high positions as people of color.
You want to know the biggest lie ever told? White supremacy. I can't believe people believe in that. What white supremacy really is white mediocrity lashing out for attention. And there are amazing white people with talents and aspirations and intelligence, and they don't use that to beat people down because they know they have something. They have something. But for the white supremacists, once you strip away your homophobia, racism, classism, transphobia, xenophobia, you're left with exactly who you are. Nothing.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. So guys, I want us to watch this video from Black Americans. Black Americans, they have come out and exposed how white mediocrity is prevalent in the United States with shocking evidence. So the Black Americans, they have come out with the shocking evidence to expose how white mediocrity is prevalent in America. So kindly guys, watch this video till the end, then I'll be back with more comment. I'm your host, Dash Lifestyle. Remember to give a video a thumbs up, and all credits goes to the original creator of the video.
And I don't know about y'all, but when I see a video of a white creator, I do not like that shit. Yeah, and it's for the sole purpose of y'all being, yeah, I'm not liking that shit. Cause I realized when black creators make a video, y'all don't be liking their shit. The videos don't be doing numbers like white people's videos because the racists don't be liking that shit. And the only reason why white people's videos be doing numbers is because nobody's racist enough to not like y'all weak ass videos. Like, that white mediocrity got everybody in a fucking chokehold. I see their videos and I scroll right past them. Right past them. In fact, I click not interested because I want my feed to be only POC, mostly black people. You can call it what you want. I'm not liking their weak ass videos. I'll leave it to the rest of y'all who love white mediocrity. Because one thing about it is they're not gonna like our shit. Like, y'all really so fucking racist in 2025, y'all purposely go out y'all way to not like a black creator's video. That's the only reason our shit isn't doing numbers like y'all's. Because we're not really racist enough to go out our way to not like y'all videos. But you know what? I'm finna start matching energy. Actually, I've been matching energy. The fuck? Like, why is it always white people at the top of a sound that's made by a black person? When the audio is a black person, or the creator of the audio is a black person, it's always white people at the top of the videos. Yeah, I refuse to partake in that white mediocrity. Y'all got that shit. Y'all got that shit completely. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm personally not impressed by the bare minimumness that white people love to give. But, you know, to each his own. Especially when I know black creators are doing what they're doing way better times 10 with no recognition, and they're doing it so effortlessly at that.
So I think we need to have a lot more conversations whenever it talks about white mediocrity and what it actually means. And by this, I mean the fact that anytime a white person does the exact same thing as, we'll say, any people of color, to be honest, they are more likely to receive accolades for that thing. They are more likely to be respected for that thing. And they are more likely to be thought of as having earned that thing. So the reason why the whole conversation around DEI as didn't earn it doesn't actually include almost any white folks and people, especially who were handed down their fortunes by their family members. If that was the case, then Elon Musk would be a part of the conversation, but it never has been brought up in this kind of mainstream conversation. Even further is when we talk about situations like the Caitlin Clark situation and the fact that Caitlin Clark is receiving all of the attention, is receiving the Nike brand deals that other black women athletes, that the black basketball players and predominantly black teams did not get the opportunity to do, regardless of the fact if they won or not. It's the same reason why whenever we talk about, in general, this historic comparison of black labor, of indigenous labor, of Asian labor, of literally all of these groups, Latins labor, not being respected, it's always in comparison to a white person and what their value is in relevance to that. It doesn't matter if they do a better job. It's the reason why, oddly enough, despite the fact that there are so many people that talk about how they hate immigration, how they hate immigrants, they do not do the jobs that immigrants do. And a lot of times they can't do the jobs at the same level of skill.
There's been a lot of talk in the past few years about Black excellence, and I think it's time to talk about white mediocrity. What does white mediocrity look like? It looks like showing up to do a presentation, doing it off the cuff or not even having slides or whatever, just because you can get away with it. It's being able to make more mistakes than you can count before getting put on a performance improvement plan or being let go. It's showing up late all the time with no consequences. It's not checking your work and sending it through anyway, because if there's something wrong with it, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not really going to impact you. It's getting a job that you weren't even really qualified for in the first place, but you just got along so well with the team and they saw your potential. And then once you're actually on that job, being able to freely say, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before. And having a lot of people help you out, figure it out with you, and give you the benefit of the doubt. It's spending quite a bit of time and energy looking at the people above you, identifying consciously or subconsciously who will look at you and say, you remind me of myself when I was your age, and prioritizing getting on that person's good side, getting to know them on a personal level, finding all the things you have in common. Did you go to the same school? You have the same number of kids? What else, right? Spending time playing golf with them, going out to lunch, just making sure they're on your side, and doing all of that in lieu of actually doing high quality work. It's forcing your team to dumb down everything they're doing to your level because you refuse to delegate things to them that they are simply better skilled at. It's failing up, being more successful at pawning off the blame for your mistakes onto other people rather than actually being good at solving problems. What other white mediocrity have you seen at work?
Something I've noticed about white people is that they'll always pick the mediocre artists over the excellent ones. For example, they'll pick Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, Gracie Abrams over like Miley Cyrus, Renee Rapp, Kelly Clarkson. Really excellent singers, you know what I'm saying? They're not really satisfied with the excellent ones. Even like when it comes to beauty standards, they'll pick someone like Jennifer Aniston over Angelina Jolie, or like Gwyneth Paltrow over Monica Bellucci, for example. They only like the mediocre ones, like the ones that are not really that excellent. Even if they know that this person is much better than that person, they always pick the person who is like kind of mediocre and kind of okay. Like, I'm not saying that any of those performers are bad. Like, I listen to all of them, they're all on my playlist. But I can admit that they're like okay. Like, even if they have like good music, good songs out there, they're still like okay. They're not the greatest. I've also noticed that with older performers, the same thing happens. They will pick like people like Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen, who are like okay bands and singers. They will pick them over bands like Guns N' Roses, which I think are like way better.
Is this a safe space to be a hater for a second? Because even if it's not, I'm about to be a hater. The way that y'all constantly reward and give attention to white mediocrity has to be studied. It must be studied, because the way that this guy, Brendan Abernathy or whatever his name is about to go viral and get exactly what he wants out of y'all is insane. Like, the game got to be studied by these people, because y'all know that was a setup, right? Y'all know that that wasn't a real performance, right? Like, I hope you guys realize that. And the thing about it is that now he made another video where he's singing it like normally or whatever, and you have people in comments going, oh, this is actually pretty good, this is actually much better. No, it's still booty. It's still completely booty. Like, what are y'all talking about? The way that y'all fawn and fall over yourselves for these mediocre white people is insane. Like, and I'm not even saying that, you know, these people don't necessarily have any talent in their bodies. A lot of the times they can sing. A lot of the times they are good guitar players, you know. But a lot of people can sing and are good guitar players and don't get half the attention that you give to these mediocre white people. Like, this is just another pink white man with a mustache. There is nothing special about him. And especially after y'all been complaining so hard about Benson Boone. But look at where Benson Boone is at. He is on the stage at the VMAs doing backflips all over the place, you know, millions of followers off of his white mediocrity. Whether y'all call it that or not, whether y'all are saying, oh, you know, there's nothing to him or not, he's still famous. Gracie Abrams is still famous, you know, with her fucking Bushwick Bob. Like, she's still famous, you know? All of these mediocre white people, y'all are calling them out for being mediocre, but still giving them the support that you don't give to other people of other races and backgrounds that are actually talented. Like, how does that work? There's so many good, amazingly talented, Black artists or artists of different types of races in general, that get no attention at all, that these white people can blow up overnight for screaming on a guitar. And I hate it so bad. And maybe I'm just salty because I'm an artist myself, and I know that as a Black woman I have to actually do some work in order to become popular. But the way that y'all just let these white people just hear every time is it's disgusting, honestly. Honestly, now y'all about to make this guy famous for what? For not wearing shoes and screaming and being pink? I hate to see it. I really hate to see it. Ugh.
Yeah, if anyone ever asks you for an example of what white mediocrity looks like, just show them any of Donald Trump's sketches that sold for money, some of them. Yeah, this man thinks he can draw. So.
Mediocre white men. Mediocre white men has been a subject you hear a lot of Black people talking about, especially those who have been strongly influenced by race hustlers throwing this term around. These mediocre white men out here getting these positions, and a Black person has worked 2 times or 3 times or 10 times harder to get a position. Let me give you some real talk when it comes to mediocre white men, especially for you Black people to understand what your role and responsibility is in this whole situation. First of all, is there a such thing as a mediocre white man? The answer is yes, there is. Same way there are mediocre Black people, mediocre Asians, mediocre Latin people. They are mediocre in every group. And I've seen it specifically in the speaking industry, consulting, the training industry, book writers, people in politics, people getting promotions at the corporate level. There are mediocre white men getting those jobs and those roles. Again, there are people in every group who are mediocre getting these positions. But some of you may say, well, it happens disproportionately for mediocre white men. Okay, I'll give you that point simply because more white men. And a lot of institutions are run by white people. So let's give you that point. Moving on to point number 2. Is this an excuse for you? If you are not a white man, is it an excuse for you? Even if you are a great and amazing Black person or Latin female or Asian guy, is this existence of mediocre white men an excuse for you to not achieve? The answer is hell no. It is not an excuse for you. The game is still the game. What does that mean? That means that if you are sure, if you are convinced that there are a bunch of mediocre white men getting positions just because they're mediocre and white and male, and you are not mediocre and you're not white and you're not male, that does not mean you should sit on the sideline and bitch about it and do nothing and be a failure, because that game is not rigged to help you. The game may be rigged to help somebody else. If you truly believe that, you can't sit around and do nothing based on it. You need to adjust as necessary so that you can win anyway, because this is a results-based business, not a whining and crying and story-based business. Which leads to point number 3. You need to make the decision to be what is necessary and do what is necessary to win, because we are in a results-based business. What does that mean? That means that at the end of everything, your life, your day, your career, the game, the business, the job, etc., you are judged on the outcome. You are not judged on what you could have did. You're not judged on what you would have done. You're not judged on who didn't help you. You're not judged on whatever excuses you want to come up with or reasons or whatever words you want to use to make it sound okay. You are only judged on what you actually achieved and what you can prove on paper. And if you don't have that, nobody wants to hear your story. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. You can learn more about doing this. You can also access my free chatbot, Dre GPT, by going to WorkOnYourGame.com/AI. or WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work on your game.
You equated whiteness, not all white people, but whiteness to mediocrity. I would love if you can briefly expand on that idea for our listeners.
I'm having this baby. No, I'm not, but y'all should see your faces. That is the line from a Toilet Swift. I'm going to keep that. I was going to delete that. But you know what? Taylor Swift, that white women are losing their minds over. Honestly, this album from Toilet Swift, I'm using it now, is like peak white mediocrity, and seeing white people's response to it, it's like, yeah, y'all are so fucking basic. I mean, on one side of TikTok, you got people of color breaking down Kendrick Lamar's and Drake's beef and all the metaphors that they're using, you know, canines, all dogs, Pet Cemetery. It literally takes like hours to analyze the lyrics that are being thrown around. And on the other side, you got white people going, Taylor Swift's having a baby? Oh my God, no she's not. She's totally joshing us. Okay, what if it was 1830s, but without the racism? Oh my gosh, Taylor, what if it was 1830 without the racism? Honestly, the bullshit that white mediocrity creates. But get ready for crap like this from Toilet Swift. It was an accident, but I'm gonna keep using it to win next year's Grammy Album of the Year.
So not all white people, because white people, like black people, like indigenous people, are individual. Whiteness comes from, if we want to make it a little bit recent, colonialism. The United States of America is the best example for those of us born here. The default posture of whiteness says, I will cut off my enemy on the front end to avoid competition. I'm not doing it with the indigenous people, so I'll kill them before I compete with them. That comes from a posture of mediocrity. I don't trust my own skill set. I don't trust my own physical capabilities. I don't trust my own intelligentsia. I don't want to even chance it globally. So I'm going to just set me and mine above the top of the social global hierarchy, and everything else will derive from that.
I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs, because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also going to defund the HBCUs. You know why? Because they don't want any more Kamala Harrises. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's. But I got news for them. I don't care what they do. We will fight to the end to make sure that we get our due. Because again, if you want to talk about the people that shouldn't be in this country, you probably need to look in the mirror, because the last time I checked, the Native Americans who some of ICE have been rounding up, or the Puerto Ricans who are absolutely Americans, listen, the only people that came and colonized this place are your ancestors, Trump.
Exactly this. Like, all of these diagnoses is about maintaining the lie. So if your white child is not good at school, if your white child is mediocre, it can't just be because they're mediocre. There must be some underlying reason why, right? And I do think a lot of the disorders that Black people get diagnosed with, especially anxiety and depression, is having to survive. White people whose underlying mental health issue is racism. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we're getting diagnosed with these disorders, and really it's having to survive the racism that white people inflict every day. But because white people can't sit with, maybe they're not the beauty standard. Maybe they don't have good genes, right? Maybe they aren't superior in any way at all. And because these are truths that they refuse to accept, right? They refuse to accept these basic levels of truth, which triggers that cognitive dissonance. And if you have to live in a state of constant cognitive dissonance, what other mental health problems are birthed out of that? And I do believe that for a lot of white people, their mental health issues stem from an underlying current of racism. Now, I'm sure you're going to have some white people say, well, I am not racist. You may not be outwardly racist in terms of calling people slurs. But I would encourage you, if you examine a lot of your belief systems around a lot of things, you will see the straight line to, oh, that is inherently a racist thought or belief. Because in order for racism to thrive as long as it has and to maintain itself and sustain itself, white people also have to be in denial of their own level of racism. Right? And I used to say the standard for white people is saying the N-word, but I think we have gone through enough cancellations on this app to know that that's not the standard either. Because even when a white person gets caught calling Black people the N-word and saying racial slurs against other minority, you have the white people almost like on standby ready to say things like, well, people are young. We can grow. We can change. We can evolve. Like there's nothing that white people can do where white people will see them as inherently racist. There's just nothing. They can be running around calling black people a bunch of slurs, Spanish people slurs. They can say anything and there will be a white person to come out and tell us, well, people grow, people change, people evolve. And so I think a lot of what we see, and again, we're not even getting into why psychology and the whole practice of it even exists, right? Because the foundation of the whole fucking industry, the foundation of it is based in racism. So if you create a whole structure and the foundation of that structure is racism, why do we think any mental health crisis that come out of that structure doesn't have an underlying it is racism? I've seen this myself with white parents. They need a diagnosis for why their child is not doing better than the Asian kid or the black kid. There has to be some reason. It's a hill I'm willing to die on. I really believe a lot of the mental health problems that white people face is because they are constantly living in a state of cognitive dissonance. When you have to constantly tell your brain that what you know to be true, what you can see, feel, touch is not real to maintain a lie, your mental health is going to be fucked, babe. It is. There's no way around it not being fucked. And then the people, the black people, the brown people, the Asian people who have to live in a society while you are going through a constant state of mental health crisis, those of us who are having to survive it, yeah, we're going to get diagnosed with depression and anxiety. That's going to be a thing.
Hey girlies, so one of my favorite brown creators made this video recently, and she was criticizing this girl who made this post who was like, when he picks like a super basic mid, like ugly white girl over an exotic, baddie, beautiful brown girl. And essentially in the video, she was like, can y'all shut up? Like, stop making everything centered about like attraction. But something I want to do on this page is like normalize things that you can't really talk about. And I think something really, really painful that a lot of women of color go through and a lot of people of color in general go through is get really upset. And that whole gut-wrenching feeling of realizing that white mediocrity will always be celebrated. And that is like the point of like white privilege. And that as a person of color, you being mediocre, you have to be far above mediocre to be celebrated at all in anything, whether it's like academics, works, looks, the dating scene, and still not get chosen for that job promotion, still not get chosen by that guy, despite the fact you intrinsically knowing you're better. I don't believe in like obviously comparing yourself and attractiveness to another woman. But I definitely understand that when you were like a preteen in your 20s, especially as a brown woman, going through this feeling for the first time. And I think that young girl had that feeling and just didn't express it in the right way. This is something I've gone through my whole life. I feel as if I'm very pretty. Like I know that I have an appealing face. But I was always best friends with women of color who were very, very attractive. And our high school senior year, I remember all three of us at different high schools being like student body presidents, homecoming queen, prom queens, and none of us got a date to prom. I think that was like my first time I kind of noticed where I like decentralized attractiveness and social status. I was like, I could have as much social status as possible. Like, for example, I was homecoming queen and student body president, and I knew I was like pretty at the time. Like my parents told me that a lot. Maybe I didn't internally believe it, but I knew I was perceived as attractive. Yet I was like, that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They're not going to pick me, so I should probably just become like comfortable within myself. But it could be really, really hard. I remember me and my other best friends who are women of color talking about it, being so upset. And we're like, wow, like all the white girls got a date in like 2 seconds to prom. Like, are we doing something wrong? That's where really like decentralizing that, I guess, like there's more to life than being attractive whole idea. But I also understand where that young girl is coming from and how that can be upsetting and maybe not know how to express it.
Let's talk about the celebration of white mediocrity. This is a conversation that BIPOC bring up kind of a lot, but I feel like it often gets shifted around into something that it's not. Oftentimes I'll see like a BIPOC creator just kind of start talking about the celebration of white mediocrity, and then a bunch of white people will say that they agree, but their actual agreement is something different. Instead, like the white people who agree will just sort of start venting about and shaming people for enjoying what they see as mediocre books. And when I say mediocre, I mean books that kind of reuse the same tropes, books that aren't doing anything groundbreaking or particularly new, books that aren't particularly well written, books that you've read like a version of many, many times, books that basically have low literary merit. And I just want to say like that's not the issue. The issue that I and many other BIPOC have with the celebration of white mediocrity is that the standards by which people judge white books and then the standards by which they judge books by BIPOC authors are just totally different. Like, white people are allowed to be mediocre and successful. BIPOC are not. That's the issue. I don't care, to be really clear, I don't care if people, you know, have like familiar tropes that they really like. I don't care if people like to read the same book in different fonts over and over again. I don't care if people enjoy books that aren't doing anything fresh or new. I don't care if people enjoy books that are mid. That doesn't bug me. I don't think all books need to be groundbreaking to be enjoyable. My issue is not with people enjoying mediocre books. My issue is with people only supporting mediocre books when they're written by white people. White people are allowed to get away with mediocrity in a way that BIPOC are not. So when BIPOC are talking about the celebration of white mediocrity, I don't want people to get confused and take that as like an excuse to start like shitting on people's tastes in books. Like, no, people are allowed to enjoy the things that they like. Like, that's fine. I am not opposed to mediocre books. I just ask that that same kind of low bar that you have for white authors, you let BIPOC be measured by that too. Because we are held to entirely different standards. There are entirely different scales for white books versus BIPOC books. Please, let BIPOC be mid too.
Mr. Black again. And if you're here, you're part of the underground. So today, we've watched this administration stoop to a new low. Before any evidence has been gathered about what occurred last night with the plane, with the Black Hawk aircraft and the American airline, he has now said it is a DEI situation and blames it on the previous administration. So, if you're confused, I can tell you what DEI means. DEI means that any educated minority or special interest group who has worked their way through, has the grades and the experience, should not be eligible. These positions should be reserved for mediocre white men. So I'll tell you, for instance, myself. In my master's degree, I have a 4.0, and I have over 20 years of experience. But there is a white man with a high school diploma who this administration feels is better suited for my position. That's what DEI means in this administration.
So guys, I hope you have watched that video and you have seen how Black Americans, they have come out and exposed how white mediocrity is prevalent in the United States. So they have come out with the shocking evidence. You have heard from what the Black Americans, they have come out and say, and also how the system it is in America, because for a very long time we have been seeing the white people, they have been given more opportunity. These people, they are having more privilege than the people of the color. We have been seeing how black people, they have been treated in America. These people, they have been given less opportunity. It is all because of how these people they have done to their system, because even if the person he doesn't have a talent or he's below average, these white folks, they will go ahead and put their fellow white people, even if he doesn't have a talent or he doesn't have he has not achieved the higher educational level to attain to do a certain job. These people, they will first give out the first opportunity to their fellow white people, but not the people of the color. And this is to tell you that these people, they have been doing this for so long. But this time round, we are seeing that all the things that they have been doing to the black people, it is now coming into reality. Their history, whatever these people that have been doing, it is now being exposed through this administration. And because of this administration, so many black people, the people of the color, they are learning a lot, because you have been seeing how these people, they have been are crying out. These people, they are now crying in America because of the bad decision they made. For a very long time, we have been seeing these people that have been voting to punish the people of the color, to punish other people, to punish the black people. We have been seeing them voting against their own interests. So these people that have been doing this for so many years, for almost 400 years, these people voting against their own interests. But this time round, it is like God is using DJT to showcase the mediocrity of these people, because we have been seeing white people that have been getting more privilege. You can see the white farmers. You can see their fellow people, how the system, it has been designed to favor the people, to favor these people. But this time around, we are seeing also they are being affected. We are seeing how the system, it is changing. The same problems and the challenges that the black people that have been going through in America, also right now, these people, they are going through the same challenges and the problem that the black people, they have been facing. So guys, I have some of the comment here that I want to share with you and see what our fellow people, our black people, they have come out and say. And also guys, remember this video, it is only for educational purposes, and also you can share your comment on the comment section. Let us see what you tell us the challenges and the struggle that you have been facing in America, and how the white privilege, it has affected you. If you are a black person, you can tell us how the system there, it has been favoring these other people, but not you as a black person. You can share it on the comment section. So this one is saying that he just brought America lies to the front, is the history of America. So right now he's saying that DJT, he has just brought America lies to the front, is it's the history of America. So this one saying that not even average at best, purely incompetent and unqualified. This one is saying that how Donald Trump is ruling America is like he was not meant to rule America, because of how America it is right now. So this one is saying that I've been seeing this forever. Good to see that everyone can see it now. Yeah, this one saying that Trump is below mediocre. I was at a high school before COVID, installing Wi-Fi. At the end of the day, I was walking down a hall talking with a black teacher. I said most white men confuse their ego with their intellect. She said that's straight. The US military should have figured out what a domestic enemy is by now and what to do about. Yeah. So these are some of the message that majority of our fellow black people, they are coming out and share and see how Donald Trump is ruling America, because we know how things are in America right now. So this one saying that mic drop 1,000 fact. Yeah. So finally, someone said it. So these are saying that how the black people that are coming out and expose white mediocrity. So this one saying that I was trained to be this one saying that I was trained to be a CNC setup operator, just to have a lead that always asked me for help. Although the compilation, I got a whole collection of ads on this exact topic. So this one is saying that come on bro, this cabinet is mediocre role. He found Hegseth in recovering home just for starter. So this was saying that we are focused on the wrong thing, still begging for respect instead of creating our own. We don't have the time that we might think to focus on such minute aspect of existence. Yeah. So this one saying that we as black people shouldn't focus right now what it is happening. We need to focus on our life. We need to come together. We need to build ourselves as a black people. So this one saying that very factual information and educational commentary, and they take this one is giving this one is saying that if he walked toward if the hawk toward girl was black, I guess you all know what kind of response she would have received. Definitely not a positive reaction. So this one saying that perfect. A brown girl in 28 minutes isn't a waiting risk of rejection. It's huge for young mate. Yeah. So let me just read it another one for you guys. So this one saying that God is truth. This one is saying that I started doing that this year for the same reason. So this one saying that if you get up every day worrying about someone else, that is a mental sick. Why do you think Katy Perry is so big? Because they can take to that mediocrity. Mediocrity can be redeemable. What we have here is a failure of the majority, and government social credit ruin with no redemption is sign. The good white artists cut their aren't the point of this video. They should be even more angry at this. Yeah. So this one says that truth is God. Yeah. So right now we are seeing some of the truth. It is now being unveiled. So this one saying that that's what happened when you win wars. Some I always hit the don't recommended. Yeah. So this one saying that this one is saying that let me just read it here. Trump is doing an excellent doing an excellent job. So this was saying that this continuous baiting is so fatigue. America are tired of black always blaming everyone else for their own problem. Yeah, Americans they are now tired of black, and they have been always blaming the black folks. Even now, when black people they came out and warned them not to vote in for this administration, these people they didn't listen. So these people they went ahead and vote, and right now they are being punished because of voting against their own interest. But you can see these people, they are now blaming black people. They are blaming black people because black people, they are not joining them. They are not coming and protest with them, or they are now seeing that black people, it is like they are not going through the same challenges and the struggle that these people they are facing right now. So kindly guys, you can share more in the comment section, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys. I'll see you on my next one. Bye bye.